Because precisely for every evaluation, I'm going to check how you write. And I think that's the most important part of it. So let's go directly to the usage of commas. Okay, here we are going to review 8 different rules that you should observe when you are reading and when you are writing, especially when we are writing, because when we are writing, we commit a lot of mistakes on commas, and we may consider that commas are not important. Surprise, surprise, they can affect the way we understand your texts, okay? At the end of the week, on Thursday, we are going to make a composition. A little composition is just not a fancy investigation or anything like that, just a vomit of ideas in the corresponding order and with correct punctuation. So the first thing that we are going to check is the rules of commas. Let's begin with number 1. Elsie, help me reading this first point.
Use commas to separate 3 or more items, nouns, in a series. They've also gone after the wealth of officials behind political and human rights crisis in Nicaragua, Myanmar, and elsewhere.
Yes. And elsewhere, and this ends in a comma, which is incorrect. Let me erase that one. That was a little bit embarrassing. So the first topic is easy. When you have a list of items, you are going to separate them with a okay.
Can you repeat?
I repeat. When you have a list of items in a list, you separate these items with a
comma.
Perfect. That's rule number 1. In the first example, we have Nicaragua, Myanmar, and elsewhere. As you can see, this is very similar to Spanish. Items can be nouns. So usually names, objects, and even ing words, right? In this case, in the second example, we have a lot of ing words. They are not verbs, right? Let's read the second part. Help me, Mitch.
Hi.
Hello.
We see an outhouse and hear the sound of a toilet flushing. Out of steps, Shrek and Ogre. Ogre?
It doesn't say out of.
What did I said out of? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, naturally you said out of.
Out of steps, Shrek and
Nice.
Ogre. Ogre? 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 Ogre?
Whoa. Yeah, that's Spanish.
Ogre.
Yes.
Ogre. Ogre. The dog at his underwear and shakes his foot off the page, still stuck to his shoe. He looks lovingly at the swamp. He calls home and goes about his daily routine. This includes taking a mud shower, brushing his teeth with bugs, bathing in a muddy pond, gathering giant slug for dinner, and painting a warning sign.
Right. Do you understand what we are reading about?
Yes, this is the first scene of Shrek.
Exactly. That's Shrek's intro.
Yes,
You know, we can even hear the
yes,
song behind, in the soundtrack.
yes.
Precisely. The interesting part about this is that's actually a recommendation. Let me make a parenthesis. Guys, if you have a movie that you have in your mind, like there is an idiomatic expression that you know by heart. When you know something by heart, it's because you have it in memory, like detailed memory. If you have a movie in detailed memory, I strongly recommend you read the script of your movie in English. And it's super easy. It's actually public domain. You go to Google and you just Google Shrek script PDF, you know? And literally is the full movie with all the dialogues. Look, this is 72 pages. And you can extract a ton of vocabulary over here. You know? Like a ton of vocabulary. Have donkey, Peter Pan, little pigs, head guard, it's like everything is here. Shrek, donkey, blind mouse 1, blind mouse 2. So that's but a little parenthesis recommendation is super, super effective to read that. I read the script of Avengers when I was younger. It's super, super cool. Anyway, my point here is commas, no? Coming back to the topic. What do you observe in commas? Who can tell me what is going on with commas in number 1? Tell me, what do you observe?
They are separating the nouns or items
Nice.
in one sentence that contains a series of something.
Mhm.
For example, in this case, the use of commas are separating the places in no, just they are separating cities,
Uh-huh. Right. Countries.
countries.
Mhm. And
Yes.
in the second, they are activities. Right? This particular topic, that's a very good thing that you observe, Jime. Now, I want you to look deeper and tell me, do you notice what happens with the word and before the last item?
Yes, that's a difference with the Spanish. In English,
Correct.
is used the comma is used to separate the what is that the article
Uh-huh.
and in
Well,
Spanish
conjunction, it's not an
isn't.
article. And in Spanish, we don't put it, right?
No, we don't put that.
That's precisely is something that we need to take note. Girls, when you say and after a list of items, don't forget to use a comma. Because in Spanish, it's incorrect to use a comma. But in English, it's not. It's necessary. Hashtag, if English is not difficult enough, these details can affect the writing section. Anybody? Questions?
No, thank you.
All right. Let's pass to number 2 then. Here. Number 2. Jessie.
Use number 2. Use a comma to show a pause after an introductory adverb.
That's correct. Just a second. How do you pronounce some pronunciation? Some pronunciation. This.
Uy.
Uy.
Uy, I think it's. I'm not sure, teacher.
Okay.
Ah. Say that with me. Ah.
Like pies.
Pie, but pie is a different sound. This is
Pause.
exactly.
Pause.
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 That's right. Not pause. Over time.
Use a comma to show a pause. No.
Yes. With
Use a comma
conviction.
to show a
Pause.
pause. Pause after an introductory adverb. A, however, the, B, therefore, researchers are good.
Oh, sorry. The word in this case. Do you know? Yes. Here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you?
Gi, 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 gi.
Argy?
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Argy?
Ooh.
Argue? Argue?
Yes.
Argue.
Argue.
To argue is to have a verbal fight. It's not a physical fight, it's a verbal fight. We argue.
Okay. Argue.
Argue. So read again.
However, therefore, researchers argue as a result, participants, I am not sure,
Yes.
participants, and after this occurred,
Exactly. That's right. The reason we have a suspensive point here is because the content is not the important part. The first word of a paragraph usually is an introductory adverb, right? So these words like however, therefore, as a result, these expressions that we use at the beginning should always be separated by a comma and then the next information. Does anybody have another example of an introductory adverb?
Like in Spanish.
Actually, this is in Spanish too.
Like, oh no, I cannot speak Spanish.
Nice, Jimena. That's the attitude. Yes, 1 point to Gryffindor. But tell me, what is the equivalent in English that you thought? The example that you had.
Nevertheless.
Nevertheless, comma. Very good. Very nice. Who else?
Nevertheless. Therefore, no, but therefore
Therefore, is there.
is there.
Mhm.
Additionally,
Additionally, all exact.
additionally, and then we can find a sentence like additionally, we do something, and
Mhm. And more steps and etc.
uh-huh.
Actually, you used another
Over
one
more,
without over more. That's a little bit more complicated, but we can go even simpler.
then
First, second, third, then, and finally. These are other examples, guys. You see? And we have a lot, so think about it. Okay? Anybody else have another idea? Or have you seen this in your emails, in your books? Anybody has one? Let's pass to number 3, right? Number 3, go, Carla. Just a second, because we have some technical issues. There.
The number 3?
Yes, it's
Or,
supposed to be number 3, but
2.
something happened.
Okay. Use a comma after 2 or more prepositional phrases at the beginning of a sentence, when and where. A
Mhm.
prepositional phrase tell us the when and the where of a main idea.
It doesn't say tell us.
Tells us,
Mhm. Yes, because it's singular. He, she, it.
tells us the
Mhm.
when and the where of a main idea. Called prepositional because it will start with a preposition.
Correct.
Read the letter A.
Yeah, please.
Okay. From the time that U.S. intelligence began warning about Russia's troop build
Mhm.
on
Well, kind of.
Ukraine's
There was a little bit of complicated word here. How do you pronounce this?
build up, build up,
Look at the symbols. Listen to this.
Eh. Eh.
belt,
Uh-huh.
belt.
The letter U is silent in this case.
Okay,
Build. And
belt,
together with the word up.
belt up.
Perfect. One more time.
Okay. Build up on Ukraine's borders in November.
All right, be careful. How do you pronounce the country?
Ukraine's,
Okay,
Ukraine,
transition.
Ukraine,
Exactly.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Okay.
Ukraine. The second syllable is a strong one.
Mhm.
Ukraine. Oops. Action.
Okay. Ukraine's borders in November.
Mhm.
Biden's sanctions team was already drafting the blueprint for an economic war on Russia's sophisticated economy.
Mhm. Let's stop over there. Good job. So here we are talking about a preposition that I'm going to paint in yellow. As you can see, the first section of the text starts with a preposition because all this section is giving us the time. It's giving us context of time when Biden's sanctions team was already drafting the blueprint for an economic war. So the principal idea is technically this. Underlined, let me take a note on that. Underline, you can see the main idea and the first section, sorry, the first segment of the paragraph is the where, no, the when of the main idea. So technically, this first section is giving you context of the when, and you can use a preposition like from, in, on, at, over, under, etc. to give context to the principal idea. The principal idea comes after. Try to make an example in your mind. I'm going to give you one. Since the beginning of time, comma, the human has developed their own tools to create a better life. Since the beginning of time, comma, humans have developed tools to create a better life. I started my sentence with since. Since is a preposition. Volunteers, girls, who can give me an example? If you need inspiration for this one, we can Google prepositions. It's incomplete. Well, I'm going to put this like this so you can get an idea. Here is since, you see. So give me a sentence, a complex idea that starts with context. I need more examples of these words. Here it is precisely. Here are more examples of these words. Above, according to, that's very common.
Teacher, can you return to the presentation?
Sure. The slideshow, presentation Spanglish.
Sorry, to the slide. Mm,
Um,
sorry.
Jimena has one?
Yes.
Or yes?
I don't know. Teacher, the sentence is, yeah, okay. Carla Denise says because of the pollution in the world, the governments are checking some programs in order to care the environment.
Oh, in the chat. Because of, okay. So thank you. I was not checking the chat because of the pollution. The first comma, Carla, erase it. It's just because of the pollution in the world, comma, the governments are checking. You see? It's not only the first preposition. Is that the first section, the first segment starts with a preposition.
Sorry, teacher, I lost my connection for some minutes. I didn't catch if it's right or not my sentence. Sorry.
I repeat. So we have because of this first comma is extra
Okay.
because that is the first segment all together. Because of the pollution in the world,
Okay.
comma, the governments are checking.
Okay.
That's the correct application. If you see your sentence
Yes.
starts with a preposition because of similar to this, but that doesn't mean that necessarily you need a comma. No, it's all together.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect job. Good job. That's it. So that's a prepositional phrase. In the future classes, we are going to study closer what is a prepositional phrase and what are introductory adverbs. Sorry, for you to have more information in your mind and more ideas. But now it's in a global watch. Let's go to number 4. It's supposed to be, but we are having glitches over here. So let's read number 2. Okay, go Elsie.
Which number?
Number 3.
Number 3. Use comma before a fanboy's conjunction, for, and, but, nor, or, yet, so. Shrek. Once upon a time, there was a lovely princess, but she.
Just a second. How do you pronounce? You forgot a letter A.
Once upon a time.
Yes, much better.
Once upon a time, there was a lovely princess, but she had an enchantment.
Let's go through.
Okay. No. Oh.
Okay, let's go through the symbol. Here, first we have this one.
Shh. Shh.
And the second one is this.
Ah. Ah.
Very guttural and very, very low. In sha. Exactly.
Enchantment. Again, please.
Sure, let's listen complete.
Enchantment.
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 Exactly.
Enchantment.
You forgot this one. Enchantment. Correct.
Enchantment.
Enchantment. That's right. So what does she have?
But she had an enchantment upon her of a fearful shore, which could only be broken by love's first kiss. She was locked away in a castle guarded.
Before we go to that word, I'm going to use, I don't know if you saw Jesse's status on WhatsApp today, but check it out.
Castle?
Letter T doesn't sound in this case.
Castle? No.
No, castle, that's Spanglish. Oh.
Castle?
Ah.
Castles.
Ah.
So
Castle.
exactly.
Castle.
Castles.
Castle. So the pronunciation was excellent. You just omit the T. Jump it.
Okay.
Mhm. One more time. Oh, yes, and the other one. The letter U is silent.
Guard.
Guard. Correct.
Guarded.
Guard.
He was
Guarded. Mhm.
locked away in a castle guarded by a terrible
Mhm.
fire-breathing dragon.
Mhm.
Many brave knights have attempted to free her from this dreadful prison, but none prevailed. Sorry.
Yeah, that one's difficult. The none.
Prevailed. No. Prevail.
Exactly.
Prevail.
To prevail is to have to exist. But in this case, it's like to exist after a problem. Like there is a when you have, for example, a good idea, and this idea is very good for a long time, the idea prevails. The idea continues existing.
Like remains.
Oh, nice. That's a good synonym. Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
But no one prevailed.
None is not no one.
But none prevailed.
That's correct. That's literally the first line in the movie. When Shrek opens, well, he's not opening the book, but he's reading the book. That's precisely the first line. Here, I want you to observe that there is two buts. The first one, starting a sentence. The second one, as an extension. You can do both. But every time you use but, or, and, for, etc., you need to use a comma, which is very similar to what happens in number one. Number one, we have and here's a comma. So the rule is different from Spanish because of this rule. A fanboy's conjunction, fanboys, because it's F for, A for and, etc., you need a comma before it. So girls, in the chat, type an example. Whoever has an example, please type it on the chat for everybody to see. Everybody or anybody. Give me an example. Yes, number 5. Number 5? No, number 3. Fanboy's conjunction. Okay, here we have one. I have a lot of work, comma, but I'm exhausted to do it. Nice. That's as easy as that. Mhm. This is a great example in emails, for example. Emails is super common to use fanboys. One more so we can pass to the next. I am learning English, comma, but it's important, which of with T, to practice a lot. Nice. Yes, it is. It is important. I like candy, comma, but I'm allergic to chocolate. Oh my God. Is that true, Mitch?
Now, it's just an example. I love chocolate.
Chocolate is amazing. Dude,
Yeah.
we cannot eliminate chocolate. That's nice. Perfect. That's the point. Good job, girls. Okay, so let's read number 4. Jimena.
Commas are sometimes used before relative connectors, which, that, who, etc. We see an outhouse, and hear the sound of a toilet flushing. Our outstepped shirt, an ogre
Mhm.
who talks.
Kinda. The letter U, you should associate letter U with this sound.
Ah, ah,
Many occasions, the letter U sounds like a tug, bus, and others, you know?
tug,
So what, who steps out? Read the sentence.
Uh, we We see an outhouse and hear the sound of a toilet flushing. Out steps Shark, an ogre who packs at his underwear and takes his foot off the page still stuck to his shoe.
Correct. That's right. Here you have the connector, the word who. This is a connector, and when we use who, that, which, etc., we sometimes use a comma. Now, when do we use a comma and when do we not use a comma? It's better to use, for example, the comma here exists because there is an extension to the first part. We have an ogre to exemplify who is Shrek or what is Shrek. And then after this, we have a comma and then the connector who. This is because we have too much information in the first area. If you have a normal sentence, for example, I like the chocolate that you shared yesterday. That sentence is not necessary to use a comma because the word that is connecting. So here is like a little parenthesis. Does anybody have an example or an idea that can match it? Oh, it can be another, like a parenthesis. Let me show you another example. Samantha, who had given him who had given him a talk about technology. Explained the topic really well. Look at how the connector who is giving more information about Samantha, but the principal idea is here. That is an easier way to say this. This is like a parenthesis. When commas work as parentheses. This is another example that I gave you that for inspiration. Open the chat and give me an example.
Teacher, but in the first example, the comma is you say because it's a lot of information. Or I
Kinda.
didn't understand.
No, yes, I no problem. Let me explain it to you. An ogre is a like a parenthesis
Yes,
to describe Shrek
yes.
before continuing with the idea. These
Okay.
parentheses are not parentheses, are commas.
Mhm.
That's the reason we use the commas.
Okay.
You see, instead of using a parenthesis, we use commas.
Okay. But in the second example, I understand that is because the focus is in the subject.
In
Yeah.
both occasions,
Yes.
in the second example, Samantha is the most important information, but there are two things about Samantha. That she had given him the talk and that she explained the topic.
Okay.
The first information is a parenthesis.
Okay.
In the first example too, Shrek is the most important information, but the parenthesis is before the who.
Okay.
Okay. Try to make an example. Let's give a moment to Jessie because Jessie will pass attendance. Hello, Jess. Good night.
Hi, good morning, Mister. And hi, ladies. I will take attendance, please. Is Jessie? Hi, Jessie. Good night.
Hi, Jessie.
Thank you. Elsie. Good night, Elsie. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Jimena. Good night.
Hi.
Denise.
Hello, good night, Jessie.
Hi, Denise. Good night. And Mish. Hi, Mish.
Hi, yes.
Hi. Good night. So that's all.
That's all, girl.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. So let's check the example. Marie Curie is one of the most famous scientific women. Scientific women or women scientific? Women scientific. Oh, okay. Let's use Marie Curie is one of the most famous female scientific, not women. Okay, because using women as an adjective sounds strange. Do you know female? Female?
Yes.
Okay, so famous female scientific who discovered two chemical elements, comma, and won WON, eliminate the E, and won 2 Nobel Prizes for it. That's a good question because you have the word and. Okay, check this out, If you, let me put it in the screen so everybody can see. I cannot. Marie Curie is one of the most famous scientific female scientist. Ah, watch out. Is female scientists. That's why that's why it sounded strange. Scientists. Who discovered in past 2 chemical elements and won 2 Nobel prizes for it. Okay, look at how this section and won 2 Nobel prizes for it is enlisting characteristics. Because you are enlisting characteristics, this comma is incorrect. Is one of the most famous scientists who discovered 2 chemical chemistries and won 2 Nobel prizes for it. For that reason, this is not the same concept. You need to use parentheses to think about parentheses. The best way to correct it or to make it for number 4, sorry, should be eliminate and now use a comma and eliminate for it. Now there are parentheses. Marie Curie is one of the most famous female scientists, comma, who discovered 2 chemical elements. No, wait. Marie Curie,
Or who won 2 Nobel prizes for discover chemical elements.
for discovering, ing.
Discovering, yes. Thank you.
But, aha. Can you repeat your example?
No.
No, you got lost. Okay, Marie Curie, who discovered 2 chemical elements, won 2 Nobel prizes.
Of
You can even say, who discovered 2 chemical elements and is considered one of the most famous female scientists, won 2 Nobel Prize. It's the same idea, but different. Got it?
okay.
Now we have another one from Carla. Cesar Milan, dog trainer, good parenthesis, who had a talk with a YouTuber, comma, explained that to learn English, he had to repeat and repeat. Yes, that's exactly the point. And you are using the parenthesis of dog trainer, similar to what happened with Shrek.
Yes.
No? In the book, we have Outsteps Shrek, an ogre.
Mhm.
And here we have Cesar Milan, dog trainer. Correct? Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, I have a question. The use of and or and. In this part, for the rules that you showed previously,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it's or not. I am not sure if I need to use a comma because it's like a separate, no? But this part maybe I didn't understand very well because we understand that when you use it's
Mhm.
necessary to use a comma, no? But I am not sure.
Are you talking about this section?
Mhm.
Okay, here we cannot use a comma because we are joining. Technically, this word
Uh-huh.
is joining information number 2, characteristic number 2, and characteristic number 1 inside the parentheses.
Okay.
So we cannot make too many parentheses,
Mhm.
contradicting this. This is not a parenthesis, this is a
Mhm.
separation of items.
Mhm. Okay. For example, if after of the 1, 2 Nobel prizes, another in this part, it's necessary to use comma, right?
Correct. That will be
Okay.
necessary. Exactly.
Okay. Okay,
So
okay,
it will be
got it.
Marie Curie is one of the most famous female scientists. That's characteristic number 1. Who discovered two chemical elements? Characteristic number 2. Won 2 Nobel Prizes for it. You know,
Mhm.
and
Fine.
is considered blah 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 blah. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
this is another way to use it. Separating. Technically, this is rule number 1,
Mhm.
and this is rule number 4.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank
So
you.
there are very different ways to use commas. As you can see, this is so different from Spanish. No, we are considering parental commas, and that's very different from Spanish. There you have it, girls. Questions? Time to go to rest. So, of course, these examples that I gave you were a little bit extensive. That's a little bit for you to have a little bit more of, let's say, inspiration. But in the texts that you are going to produce for the exam are technically easier compositions, similar to what you have in the chat. It's just a small article giving your opinion about something, an email describing some things, or some experience, some story about experiences in your life. So really, there is no big issue here, but it's important to see the difference between commas, because a very common mistake that everybody does is separating everything with commas. You know, we never use a period. I strongly recommend to finish your sentences with periods. And blah, 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 and period. And person, verb, complement, and period. Always. That's a recommendation for everybody. Don't worry, tomorrow we're gonna see the rules of periods. But for now, let's go to rest. Finished. Have a very good night.
Good night,
Glad to see you.
everyone.
Good night, teacher.
Good night, guys. Bye, girls.
Bye.
See you
Good
later.
night to all. Bye.
Bye-bye.